Fantastic. Thanks for that, Taylor. Hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin from Boomerang Labs. I'm excited for you to all join us for our November webinar and this special edition, which is collaborating with a few other organisations and a few other spokespeople as part of the Global Circular Monday campaign. We're going to present a few slides at first, but there's a lot of faces that you're going to become familiar with, and we're going to chat through what this campaign looks like, and then we're going to have a bit of a panel discussion about what it looks like for Australia, because Team Australia is definitely increasing their presence this year. Very excited about. You may have seen our Circular Monday challenge that we've been doing online, which has been a lot of fun, and we're seeing Australia take a bigger center stage in the online database as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. We have today a number of people joining us, but we will kick off with an acknowledgement of countries. So Boomerang Labs, Circular Economy Club, Cirque du Soil, and all the other organisations partnering on this event want to recognise and pay our respects to the traditional owners of the land in which we are all gathering from today, all around Australia, maybe the world. Don't know how much of a crowd we've drawn today, how widely. We'd like to pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging, and a really important recognition down the bottom here of First Nations people have had a long history of practicing circular economy principles throughout sustainable land management, resourcefulness, and a deep connection to country, which can inform modern circular economy frameworks. So definitely something for us to keep in mind as we discuss the spread and the evolution of circular economy globally. So like we said, this is we've put this under our Boomerang Labs webinar series. However, we've got quite the team joining us today. I'm right there in the middle. My name is Caitlin. I'm from Boomerang Labs, but I'm also one of the co-leads of Circular Economy Club Sydney, which we also have here as Hayley and Jess. And then we have Stephen here representing himself and Jean from Cirque du Soil. Hayley and Jean, I should say off the bat, are our main spokespeople for Team Australia. We're very excited to be led by them on here. But we're going to get straight into it now and go into some more introductions. I believe, Hayley, we're passing to you next.
Yes, hello everybody. As Katie said, my name is Hayley Ackroyd and I work for Waverley Council. My main role here at Waverley Council is just helping facilitate the transition to a circular economy and making it more accessible for our community and local businesses. I thought it would be nice for everyone just to do a brief introduction before we get into the swing of things. So I'll pass on to my other co-lead at Circular Economy Club Sydney. Jess, would you like to do a quick introduction?
Yeah, thank you, Hayley. Hi, everyone. I'm Jess, and I am, yes, one of the other co-leads of Circular Economy Club Sydney. So might have met a few of you already in person. And I'm also the Circular Solutions lead of SONEX, which is a circular economy research and innovation practice. So originally from the UK, but now we're also established in Sydney in Australia. And I might pass over to Stephen.
Lovely, thank you. So I'm the co-founder of Cirque du Soil. We are a Melbourne-based climate emergency social enterprise that set up 6 years ago to effectively try and assist businesses and cities and communities to transition to the circular economy. One of our main things we do is education and advisory, and then we also turn food waste into fertilizer. So hello from me.
Wonderful. Thank you for those introductions. Sweet. Katie, can you swap slide seats? We'll get into it. So essentially today's session, we're just going to do a quick one, as Katie said, so we can have a discussion at the end of it and ask and answer any questions that we may have. But we will be covering the origins and purpose of Circular Monday as a global campaign, the role of Circular Economy Club Sydney and Cirque du Soil as supporters, and how Australia has been engaging in the campaign this year. Why now is the right time for circular initiatives to accelerate nationally and internationally, and how to get involved with Circular Monday. Beautiful. So Circular Monday is essentially, it's a global campaign and community dedicated to an economy that creates no waste by promoting reuse, repair, refill, resharing, upcycling instead of buying new. It's essentially trying to combat Black Friday and the overconsumption that we all know comes with Black Friday. It invites everybody and all of us here today to look beyond what we have as a set perceived paradigm of success, which is buying something new, buying the fanciest, buying, always going in there and just going after the newest iPhone, the newest car, and redefining that success in your mind, to look at things more like the reuse and the repair, and knowing that the products that we buy and use don't have to start and end their life with us. So yeah, just encouraging people to pause and think about what value really looks like. Wonderful. Next, we have a quick intro from Alex, who is one of the co-founders of Circular Monday. So we'll just, Katie, if you could play that one.
Yeah, I'm just going to make sure that I'm sharing with audio, sorry.
Okay.
If you can't hear anything, just let me know once I click start.
We can't hear it, Katie.
All right, I'm going to restart that for 1 second. Thanks for your patience, everyone. I always forget that little button to share sound. So we're going to start again now.
Hello, everyone, Team Australia, Circular Monday. My name is Alexandra Davidson, and I am the co-founder of the global campaign Circular Monday and the impact startup Climate Hero, which is organizing the campaign globally for the 3rd year in a row. Climate Hero helps businesses and households to calculate and reduce their footprint. And Circular Monday is a campaign and a movement going on today at November 24th on social media. It is also a database of circular businesses, organizations, and influencers where consumers, or actually circulants, can find circular alternatives to whatever they need. And I am so happy to be with you here today in a recording. And I am so glad that we get Circular Monday to start and up and running in Australia as well. Currently, Circular Monday has spread to over 50 countries, and we are over 30 volunteers within this nonprofit campaign that organizes the whole campaign. And I am just quickly going to...
He's quickly going to pass to Hayley now. We'll go through this a little bit more succinctly.
While we move on to the next slide, I just want to personally thank Alex and thank Alex from the whole group for obviously sending us a video and for pulling us into this global movement. So essentially, Circular Monday, it used to be known as White Monday, and it was born as the exact opposite of Black Friday. So it's really trying to encourage the reuse and the repair elements. The Circular Monday itself is an awareness raising campaign. And it is essentially encouraging people all around the world on Monday, the Monday before Black Friday, to make a post, to have a conversation, and to really spark insight into this global movement towards circular consumption. So yeah, it's a really fun thing to be a part of. It's a really important movement globally. And today we hope after this webinar, you can go and you can have some conversations with people and really get them rethinking what it means to consume and how to partake in more circular consumption habits. So essentially, as I mentioned before, it is the opposite of Black Friday. And yeah, so this is more just about how to look at that take, waste linear system and then putting it more into a circular system, which promotes sharing, repairing, regenerating, renting, refilling, and everything else, and just really trying to build up that global campaign. So the next slide will show you essentially some of the the conversations that we're trying to have. So really trying to push that hashtag Circular Monday, really trying to start all of that, as I mentioned before. It is a really big global campaign. They've got networks in over 40 countries. It's backed by over 1,400 buddies worldwide, and it reaches over 40 million people in 2024. So we can see that this is a huge thing. It's a really important thing, and we're really excited to be a part of it today. So I might go over to Jess, and she's going to talk about the Circular Economy Club Sydney and Cirque du Soil and their support for Circular Monday.
Hi, everyone. I'm one of the co-leads of Circular Economy Club Sydney here with Hayley and Caitlyn. So some of you might have been to some of our events. So Circular Economy Club Sydney is part of the broader network of circular economy clubs, and there's over 70 active clubs globally. And the Sydney club started in May. We'll put all the links in the chat if you haven't registered and if you're not part of the club yet, but we normally run monthly events around Sydney, around different topics. We've done things from panel discussions to tools to just very casual networking drinks. But yeah, if you're interested in the circular economy space or you want to learn more about it, or you're a big fan and you already work in it, everyone is welcome. And yeah, it's just the idea of, trying to meet more like-minded people, but then having that in-person aspect of it and having that community aspect of it and being able to meet in person. And I know there's so many wonderful webinars and online forums and groups, but yeah, there's just nothing better than meeting someone in person and bonding all about circular economy activities and initiatives and organizations. And I do feel like it is growing at an incredible pace in Sydney, at least. And yeah, I might hand over actually to Stephen if you want to talk a bit more about, and I'm going to say it in French, I'm sorry, I'm French, Cirque du Soil. I love it when you say it. And yeah, if you want to tell us a little bit more about Cirque du Soil.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And by the way, apologies for looking a little bit corporate. I've got to go into a school after we wrap up here and look a little bit pretty. Otherwise, I'd usually be in gear more akin to playing with food waste. So firstly, our bastardization of the French word is sort of links to circular soil, which when we look at food systems and we look at a lot of the big global issues, part of what we're trying to do is to create circular food systems. But in terms of, I guess, what our support for this initiative is and sort of our approach, I think that it's interesting. We talk a lot about developing communities of practice and finding our people, and it's been beautiful engaging with the Circular Economy Club in Sydney and actually having some of these discussions as well. But it can be quite lonely when you're going out trying to tackle all of these issues, because typically speaking, any business that is certainly got circularity in their DNA, but also if they're trying to dip their toe in the water, it's the question of how do you find commercial sustainability as well as environmental sustainability. And so it's pretty lonely to do that on your own. So I think from that point of view, this initiative and the work that we're all doing is brilliant in terms of not just drawing the spotlight towards a different narrative or what should be the correct narrative, but in terms of building connection. So what we're hoping for as we build up the Circular Monday movement in Australia and in Melbourne and in Sydney and all the rest of it is really to build connections that continue to increase, and that we see this narrative start to really push in terms of people understanding, not so much understanding, but having increased ability and ease to actually promote on the circular narrative. And so I think that as this movement builds out, it's just going to be absolutely brilliant. A couple of things that we do, we've been involved in these events we called Circularity in Action, where we bring people together, but we sort of don't think that anyone needs to do about stepping on toes in terms of creating communities. So we encourage everyone with whatever the networks they've got to actually bring people together. There's a great move around as well called People, Planet and Pints, so that we've known a lot of people that we've managed to connect to through that. But in terms of just rethinking, just point on the two bottom points in this slide, we are really seeing an uptake in I guess you would say life cycle thinking and design thinking, in particular in alignment to the 12 R's. And it's really interesting from a business point of view, starting to see an uptake in actually, sustainable procurement strategies. And so I think all of us have got different roles in terms of, which part of the system we work on. But if we can support anyone on their mission, we're certainly here for that. And yeah, really, it'd be interesting for everyone that's on this call to just think about, with even not just this year's movement, but an ongoing movement. How do we, spread this, and how do we actually support others to even create some of the social media assets and the campaign type assets is always a hard one to make contextual, to make Australian, and to get the timing right in terms of getting through all this noise. Yes, that's a little bit about us. One quick word on myself is I absolutely adore the maths behind all the climate stuff. So if anyone's got any interest in in case studies around life cycle analysis in particular, we love to share really openly. So if you've got anything to share, I'd love to read it. But if there's anything we can support you with in terms of sharing some of our work, then we'd love to share that as well. So back to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jess and Stephen. That was really great to understand a little bit more about Sydney Circular Economy Club and how Cirque du Soil is really aligning with Circular Monday this year. So this is Australia's first year as a representative in Circular Monday. In the last 3 weeks, we generated this challenge called the Circular Monday Challenge, and it has gained over 25 businesses, 11 organisations and 5 influencers onto this international database, which is absolutely incredible in 3 weeks. So congratulations to everybody who's joined. And we hope that this webinar will encourage other people to join afterwards as well. So circular economy is more than just a strategic policy. It's also a lifestyle choice, and it is rapidly growing. And it's more important than ever that we use our collective voice to raise awareness and make circular solutions visible and accessible to our community, especially in light of all the new regulatory changes that are coming up within Australia at the moment, all of the funding towards circular economy globally as well. So it's really clear to see that this shift away from linear consumption towards a circular consumption is necessary. And part of that comes into this week and specifically this Friday with Black Friday. So it's really just trying to encourage people to take a minute and to pause. And also through doing that, providing this giant community so people feel like they're going through this together. So we're just going to do a shout out to some of the groups that have joined up already. So as I said, there's 25 businesses, 11 organizations and 5 influencers. So not everybody is on this page, but this is just a few of the organizations that have joined up and that are a part of this global movement of individuals, passionate individuals, knowledgeable individuals that are really trying to share and encourage the people around them to think better and to consume better. Next, we'll go to Katie, and she's going to talk a little bit about Australia's circular economy journey.
Thank you very much, Hayley. I'm just trying to get my camera back on, which I didn't realize was off at all. So yes, thank you for throwing to me here. As I think many of us online right now are aware of, Australia is one of the Australians altogether are some of the highest generators of waste globally. I've just been in workshops in a high school this morning where we talked about textiles and how we're on par with the US, and that's just one waste stream. But overall, we're huge producers of waste, and that's why we think increasing Australia's presence on movements such as the Circular Monday campaign are so much more important. We rely heavily on finite resources, resource extraction, and imported products from overseas. So yeah, overseas, but also in our country, we know that Australia's got a history of the fossil fuel industry, and there's a huge opportunity for increased circularity and increased clean energy transition here. So this is why Australia's circular journey is so important and is so pivotal. And I think it's no news to anyone here on this line. If you found Circular Monday, you found circular already, and you found that our current linear model is not sustainable economically or environmentally. So, I mean, it's just a testament to Australia's journey that we have the slide that we've just shown a second ago, with so many businesses and organisations that have gotten on board. This is, of course, just the drop in the ocean of the efforts that are already happening from, local government, state government, federal government, not-for-profits, social enterprises, for-profit organisations. There are so many different ways to be involved. When we talk about circular, we're really talking about changing the way we use and value resources every time we touch something or use something, whether that's looking at timber, whether that's looking at plastic, water, energy, all these things. It's really rethinking how we're valuing things. So huge opportunities, and being really excited to be able to be a part of this showcasing exercise and global campaign. So accelerating to a more circular economy in Australia will reduce our waste. We know that waste in landfills is a huge issue. Cirque du Soleil particularly will have spoken about it, will always, until their last breaths, talk about the food waste challenge. That's not just sucks that there's food waste there in the landfills, but it's also creating huge methane and huge greenhouse gas emissions at a disastrously increased rate compared to other materials. We know that Sydney's landfill is due to fill up very, very soon, and that's just one example. Landfills around the world are already filling up. Sydney is not alone in that respect, but I think the announcement from the EPA last year around the urgency has really been a significant push, and a reality check for us to understand what's happening. Accelerating to a more circular economy will help grow local repair, reuse, and remanufacturing industries. We're showcasing some of these businesses that are already here and have been around for a long time. And by increasing our presence of circular economy organisations, we're able to increase the capacity and the access for our community as well to access the different REs and get more involved. Circular economy enables us to create new jobs, increase business value, and increase supply chain resilience, and of course support national and international climate change, waste and resource recovery targets. Like I said, it is really about every time we touch something. So that means every time we touch a resource, so that means me as an individual can have a huge impact and create so many changes through adopting it through my own consumption, but also it goes all the way through to the whole scale of the globe as well. So the final call to action, I think, Hayley, perhaps you're going to jump in here for that, or Stephen, sorry.
I can certainly jump in, unless you had wanted to cover something, Hayley. I think, one of the real obvious calls to connection is growing this community. So today is Circular Monday. So if you run a business that offers something circular and you're on this call, use the hashtag Circular Monday in any of your social media posts. Take it as an opportunity to share what you are doing, and I would say avoid any hesitation around the fact that you might not be 100% circular. I don't know how to measure to 100% circularity. No one's quite cracked that yet. There's always we stop at a certain assumption and what we know and what we can see. So don't hold back. We are not the sort to embark on greenwashing campaigns. If you're on this call, it's more than likely because you care. So please, wear it proudly and push it out. I know we've got another event later on this week that I might drop into the chat. But Hayley, what other call to action do you think we've got today apart from join Circular Monday?
So obviously Join Circular Monday is the biggest one, but I think it's a really nice time for us each to take a little moment to talk about what we can do individually as organisations, as government, to promote circularity. So coming from my own perspective, I work in a local government setting, as I mentioned before, and it's just really trying to encourage our businesses and our community to become more circular through active engagement, through community events, through building networking events for businesses, through partnering with external circular service providers like sustainable salons and Reground, and really trying to encourage this multifaceted sharing economy And, you know, so it's just taking a moment to sit and think what you can do as an individual, what you can do professionally, and what you can do as a community member and a family member to really encourage circularity, and definitely join our database. Sorry, you go, Kate. You go, Jess.
No, I was also actually going to add about how to get involved. So if you are here and you're already on the database, that's amazing. But then what we had done a couple of weeks ago when we joined the campaign, which I think we should keep pushing, is once you've joined the campaign, tag another circular economy person, business, organization, and tag them and tell them to join, because that's how we kind of started the movement, where we would say, you know, Circular Economy Club Sydney joined, or Sonex joined, or Boomerang Labs joined, and then we would tag another 3, either people, business, organization. So I was just going to say, if we could keep that momentum, today is Circular Monday, but we really want to push it, especially because Black Friday is this week. It's in a few days, so if we can keep pushing that momentum even more over the next few days, and yeah, any circular organization that you know, try to get them involved. Because yeah, as I was saying, the database again today, I was like, why is this organization not on there yet? So still maybe a gentle nudge to people or organizations who you think should be on the database and who are not yet on it.
Wonderful. We do actually have another video from Alex to show as well, which I think Katie is just going to get up for us in a second. But she's going to be talking about other ways in which individuals can build awareness and action and can shift consumption patterns, and the importance of shifting consumption patterns globally. Once again, just talking about that. So I think her screen is just coming up now. Beautiful.
When we started Circular Monday in Sweden back in 2017, it was just an idea, a way to shift focus from buying new to celebrating what already exists out there. We never imagined it would grow into a global movement across 40 countries, but it did, because of people everywhere that wants to change. This campaign is not about saying no to consumption. It's about saying yes to creativity, repair, community, and a world that lasts. That's why I care so deeply about this.
I think Alex has said it better than any of us could say, and really promoting that community aspect as well, and the importance of community within the circular economy. Before we go on and we participate in these different things, it's just thinking about the people around you and the things around you. So I think next we were thinking about opening this up to a panel discussion, and if anybody has any questions that they have on how they can get more involved, how they can open up conversations and dialogue around the people that they love and that they work with, or if anybody else has any thing that they would like to highlight about what they do to be more circular and to promote more sustainable consumption habits, we would love to hear from you.
I'll jump in, Hayley. It's Piers Grove from Boomerang Labs. We just spoke to a bunch of school children about circular fashion, and it was disturbing how few of them were even aware of the idea of circularity. Are there any initiatives, and this is to anyone on the call, to get kids to feel a sense of ownership over this in much the same way as we did with climate to some degree? I just think it's a missing opportunity.
I'd certainly love to add a comment in there. I work with schools every day and quite deeply entrenched on the side of the education in terms of non-formal education programs. I think one of the things is finding alignment. We've got amazing resources down here in Victoria called the Resource Smart Schools. And it's basically it provides a lot of content that teachers can use and grab, and then there are coordinators working with schools to help them understand what's available. Teachers all around the country are typically time poor, but they are often required to, create curriculum and extracurricular stuff. So finding the alignment to that, but giving them assets is an incredibly powerful way of helping them to know how and when to introduce it. And we've seen people that are delivering it even in ELC, but certainly from sort of grades three to five all the way through up to 10 and 12. There is great strong curricular alignment in sciences, in environment. But yeah, they really benefit from having content that they can use. So that'd be my point I'd make, Piers.
Yeah, no, that sounds really good. We will try and do a little bit of that heavy lifting ourselves too.
Wonderful. If anyone has any questions and they don't want to jump up on the video and voice as well, feel free to pop them into the chat. I can see we've got one here from Stephen Dua, who is talking about governments setting up more recycling businesses and making new products to resell. So this is obviously, it's a very important conversation point, and it's a very important conversation point in Australia, where we do send a lot of our resources offshore to be recycled and remanufactured. But it is also remanufacturing, and that reuse element is growing rapidly in Australia as well. So I think it's just trying to lobby governments and encouraging them to focus in on these things as well. I think, Lee, you took yourself off mute before, and I jumped in before you did. So would you like to say anything?
That's okay. I was just started typing instead. In response to Piers' question about schools, I attended the People for Nature Climate Collage last week, which was really interesting, and recommend, if you missed that one, you go to the one next Monday, I think it is. But I believe that they also do a version of that for school kids, which may be helpful. That's all.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It would be very different to the adult one, hopefully, because the first round presents the challenges and it can be a little depressing. And I think that's a concern we all need to have when we're talking to kids. It's a really big, scary topic, or it can be. So I'm sure they'll do that appropriately.
Yeah, that was very much our experience this morning, was that when you actually lay out the current situation, it can sound overwhelming and terrifying. And we need to get good at presenting it as an opportunity rather than another piece of garbage we're handing down to the next generation, which is often how these things do come across.
Absolutely. And we need to make it easy. Like it's for all of us, not just kids. These are very big topics, but offering easy solutions, I think, and convenient, is the only way we're going to make any progress. I mean, obviously it's not easy behind the scenes, and we're all, ducks running, paddling underwater. But I think we've got to make it seem easy and accessible.
Yeah. I think we've found there's a hard balance of when you contextualize it. So when we've, for instance, been working with school kids of all ages to introduce, why we need a circular economy, which means starting with the linear economy, which is kind of then requires the climate change piece, opening up at 8 a.m. on a Monday morning in a cold auditorium and talking about how screwed the world is not always the most positive aspect. So it's often a question of when do we bring in and frame the context of why, how we're past our planetary boundaries, bringing it back home into Australia. And even when you're looking at how much deforestation Australia has versus the rest of the world, most people aren't aware that we're actually one of the most deforested developed countries. So it's a balance of, I think, bringing it home, but there is so much anxiety around future careers. So what we find is when we're in sort of years 7 and up, where they are starting to think about what is it that I want to do as I'm forming my own sense of identity, that introducing something like life cycle thinking, showcasing some of the amazing circular examples that people are doing, like growing packaging from mycelium and just some really cool stuff, and giving them an idea of what their future might look like, really, really, we just find personally brings it home in any type of school, whether it's specialty, whether it's a government school in a regional area, or whether it's an independent school with all of the world's resources at their door.
I mean, the only other thing I would add for the schools again is there are organisations, one comes to mind, maybe a little bit biased here, Reverse Garbage in Marrickville run amazing workshops for schools. And, they are coming in and talking on any level from early childhood through to high school and university, and they'll tailor it for the audience and, bringing it into the creative side or the science side or whatever the topic may be. So, and there's others like Endless Play, and I'm sure there's others in other parts of the country that I'm not aware of, but they're worth investigating.
Excellent.
We've got last couple of slides here, so I'll share the screen on that now. I don't have to worry about sound now, no more videos, no more potential tech issues of myself. But here's just a screenshot from the website, and Hayley, feel free to jump in if there's anything that I miss here. But this is to show you the different countries right now where they have listings. I think, there may have been 1 or 2 listings at the start of the campaign. Very few, though, for a Team Australia, and we've definitely skyrocketed, which is fantastic, very exciting. So the main ask, that, as we've said, is that you join this database, but on Circular Monday today, we would love for you to post on your social media. 1 post, 1 voice, 1 day is what we've said. # Circular Monday. Put up a post, tell people about what you're doing. This doesn't need to be that we're all putting up the same, copy and paste promo about the campaign, or this can take a different shape for every single person. This can be you telling the world why you got into circular, perhaps, or maybe how you came across Circular Monday. Maybe it's talking about the impact that this new campaign you think is going to have on your business, or perhaps talk about your defiance of Black Friday. I think the main thing really is about creating this collective conversation and voice around the need to continue to push for this more sustainable, more circular narrative in this time of year, which is filled with overconsumption and sales. And we all love a bargain, absolutely, but we can get our bargains thrifting or through circular businesses and supporting those. That's one of my favorite features also of the Circular Monday campaign. Is not only is it a listing of all of the businesses online, over 1,400 of them, but if you have a specific offering for Circular Monday, maybe it's a discount, maybe it's a buy one get one free sale, something like this. If you've got a call to action, that can also be featured on the page. And as much as it is Circular Monday and this is the day, it's something that we want to keep pushing, and we're really keen for Team Australia to continue to grow our presence and take over some of the stages as we continue. So was there anything I missed on that one, Hayley, or you want me to move to the next slide?
No, I think you pretty much covered most of it, but as Alex said in the last video that we showed, I think it's really about, obviously, I think when an outsider hears someone talk about circularity or sustainability, I know in my family people can get quite defensive. And I think it's really just about, as Alex said, it's not saying no to consumption, it's just shifting the way we consume. It's not saying no to using products, it's shifting the way that we use products. It's not saying no to buying new, it's thinking about whether we do need this item new, and if we do, is there a specific way in which we can sustainably source it. It's, we're not saying no, and we're not trying to build any sort of negativity or resentment within the global movement within the world as well. But it's just really, I think, looking at it and looking at this movement with empathy and looking at other people with empathy as we go forward, and really just focusing on how we can be better and how we can do better and how we can make a tiny little change every single day. For me, I use glass jars for everything. I have my smoothie in a pasta jar. I have last week I was walking around with little green tea in like a little jam jar. And these are just some things that I do in my life to be more circular, and it's a very easy shift. And it's just encouraging those easy shifts this week, today, on Friday, but also every single day, and throughout, try and integrate it throughout your being. And so I think Jess.
Sorry, no, I just wanted to add to that two things. One, because I saw Pen on the call, New Zealand has now, since this screenshot's been taken, New Zealand has been added to the list. So an extra country in there. Shout out to Pen, who is from New Zealand. But that's great, because I looked at this earlier and I was like, oh, New Zealand's not on here, and then went to check and now it is. So more good news, Circular Monday. And then just to add on what Hayley was saying, and Hayley did a great video about Circular Monday that we posted last week. And exactly, it's not about saying no, but also like shopping local a bit more, because this is a global movement. But what's been really nice with this is then being able to click onto Australia, and then wherever you live in Australia, and seeing, oh, I might finally go to that refill shop that is around the corner from where I live, and just focusing on discovering your neighborhood again. And oh, I can refill here, I can buy pre-loved here, I can donate my old clothes here. And also, I was having a chat with someone recently who works in the climate space, and who said, oh, occasionally I go on Amazon and I'm sorry, and I do that. And I was like, oh, I was quite surprised. But no shame, and some people might live in really remote places, so there's no shame in that. But also maybe rediscovering how satisfying and how good it feels when you do shop local, and then when you do speak to the local shop owner and have that great discussion conversation, and then also meet like-minded people. And often it's incentivized, you got your own reusable coffee cup, which is the easiest thing to do, and often there's a little discount on your coffee. Just how having your reusable water bottle or coffee cup becomes your everyday reflex. What else can you do? And it doesn't have to be a big change.
I really like that sentiment, and I'm going to jump in on this too. And I think that let's not let perfection get in the way of progress. I almost butchered that saying, but we hear it a lot. But I think it's something that we need to consider in the case of businesses and organizations as well as individuals. As much as we're saying thrifting, let's go secondhand. I think that's a really good point that you've made there, Jess. And I think brings me back to a conversation we had at our last Circular Economy Club session. It was on Thrift Thursday. We were all trying to turn up in secondhand things, but two of us had a discussion about how hard it is to find thrifted jeans, for example. So I know I'm wearing perhaps fast fashion or medium pace fashion jeans right now from Just Jeans, because they were the highest quality jeans I could find, and I couldn't find any at thrift stores near me or in secondhand. So firstly, if anyone has any great suggestions of where they get their jeans secondhand, would love to hear those. But I guess the other point is just pointing out that we're all advocates of this, but understand we're all humans too, and want to continue to do the best we can until we know better, and then do that. So I think that hopefully that's a nice warm and fuzzy point to make too. It's not all about just bad Black Friday, good Circular Monday, but doing the best we can.
I think op shops need to present all of those jeans that they do have in the same way that Just Jeans presents them, in terms of leg shape, color, whatever. I know that's a very, very big ask, but I think I was part of that conversation that you were having, Katie. So
yes.
It's just the overwhelm when you walk into an op shop looking for jeans, because there's racks and racks and you can't see from top to bottom. It's like the ultimate treasure if you can find jeans in a thrift shop. It's even more, it's to me, it's even bigger than finding a white shirt that's actually white.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thanks, Leah. Definitely. And I'm on the hunt this week. I'm excited to be spending a full week in Sydney and finding some new treasures. So I'll fill you all in on that, whether you like it or not. Those that come to the next Circular Economy Club Sydney event, I will be showing you what I found with some new range compared to my locals. So yes, a final slide, and then I'll get rid of these so we can see all of our faces all together. But really, this global campaign does require amplification from spokespeople, such as Jean and Hayley as our main spokespeople, and then also Jess, myself, and Stephen as well. But it also is just about telling everyone that you're on the database or getting people to join on the database. It's amazing to see what's grown already, but let's turn it into more than just an admin task that creates a list of businesses. But let's see what conversations can emerge. And I know that Team Australia, the team behind that, the five of us have been chatting about what we can do in the lead up to next year's campaign too. Let's not make it also just a 1 month social media campaign. Let's turn it into an ongoing conversation as well. So yeah, contact hello@circularmonday.com to get onto Alexandra. There's also the website there. Would recommend also not just restricting your searches to the Australia pages. Plenty of other people that we can learn from and connect with overseas as well. So I'll stop sharing and invite the other speakers to see if they have anything else to add then.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think the last thing that I would add to this is remember to join the Circular Economy Collage that we are hosting alongside Jenny Philippe next week at Waverley Council. This is just a really great opportunity to, if anyone's been to a Climate Fresque, it's a similar style. So it's just a great opportunity to understand supply chains, to have collaborative discussions with people around you and sort of just to envision what perfect would look like and then move backwards from there, which is a really powerful tool as well to sort of understand what we are dreaming of, and then the steps that we can put in place to actively get there. So definitely come along. And Jess also put in the chat here the link to join Circular Economy Club, Circular Economy Monday, sorry. So make sure, if you haven't already, click on that and join up, and let's continue to bring out Australia's, I guess, debut year in Circular Monday with a bang.
Great. Thanks, everyone.